Hi again for the next one in my kind of mini series that I'm doing on reflecting on my sabbatical, inviting you to kind of almost enter into a mini retreat with me. And today I want to share one of the other experiences I had when I was on retreat, which was a surprise to me, and it might, I don't know whether it'll be a surprise to you, but it left me with a question that I've continued to ponder over the weeks, and I invite you maybe to ponder it for yourself. So I think on about the second day of my retreat, I was having one of my intentional prayer times, and I was just sitting in the silence. I was actually sitting in a kind of a converted little garden shed, looking over the amazing ground and the spectacular views over Wales. And I had this sense of God saying to me, Hannah, I want you to hold me. Which really threw me, because kind of I'd been thinking I want God to hold me. And often we talk about that, don't we? We talk about God holding us. But it was a really profound sense of God asking me to hold him. And I sat with that for a while and thought that obviously, you know, we often see pictures, don't we, of Mary holding the Christ child as a baby. And that kind of got me thinking too about actually, we remember at Christmas, and of course we're about to come into that season of Advent. We're not far off that now, of Jesus coming as a vulnerable, tiny, helpless baby. And we can so often talk about God as the all-powerful one, and of course that is true. But there's another side of that coin, that God actually also showed himself as a vulnerable one. And there was something for me about almost having this sense of God saying, actually, just as God is there to hold me and to love me, he needs the same from me. He needs my holding. And so I don't in some ways have the answers, but I pose the question of, what does it mean to be holding Jesus? Maybe it means sometimes to be holding him enough to see what it is that makes him weep. What makes him weep over the things in my life? What makes him weep over the things in the world? And to weep with him, and to kind of have that sense of holding him, so we're in it together, rather than just being dependent on Jesus. There was something for me about actually, he's dependent on us as we are on him in some kind of way. And I don't mean that heretically. In no way am I suggesting that we are God, because we're not. But there is something very unique, I think, about the fact that Jesus came as a tiny, helpless, vulnerable baby. Philippians, talks to us about him emptying himself, about his vulnerability, and how do we respond to that. So maybe in this next week, if you are responding to that challenge to make some intentional times of space, maybe you might just want to reflect, what does that mean for you to be holding Jesus? I don't necessarily have the answer that you might have, but it could provide some interesting discussion. Maybe you might want to talk about it with others. Do talk about it with me. Let's think about holding Jesus together. Maybe as you're taking times of quiet and of silence, you might just want to almost kind of just have Jesus in your arms as you look down at him, as you would with a newborn baby. Imagine holding a newborn baby. Imagine that's Jesus in your arms, looking at him, holding him, being close to him. God bless.